Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at the first 15 minutes of an OG versus Nigma game and breaking down a few specific plays that TOPSON makes that you wouldn't. If you feel like you're a good mid lane player, well, maybe you are. Maybe you are, but this video is going to help you become even better with the niche decision making you need to make every single game to improve yourself as a mid lane player, especially within the first 15 minutes into the game. And let's get into it. But before we do, I just want to let you know on the subject of mid lane, so you guys know, right? This is a mid lane video. I also, for the website, just finished creating, it's going to be uploaded very soon to the website, a video where I discussed in a very advanced manner when to take the damage as a squishy mid laner. So I watched a CCNC replay, he was playing Leshrac, and he would initiate fights. He would actually go in on a hero that had, 1500, 1600 HP. And why would he do this? Well, obviously I describe it all to you in the video. I break down every advanced movement and play he makes that people simply can't understand by themselves. And that's okay, because that's what the gameleap website's for. So click the link down below, sign up today. I'm gonna help you guys get to the next level, and I'll see you there. Okay, so we're actually gonna hop right into it with the first wave. The main thing I want to talk about here is it's very kind of specific based on the matchup, but it doesn't mean like it doesn't apply to different scenarios. Essentially what I want to say here is that Razor beats Timber, right? We can all agree on that. It's a pretty simple idea that Razor beats most melee heroes because you link them and you deny creeps. But what a lot of people do wrong is they'd say, okay, well, I played Razor against Underlord recently and I destroyed him. I killed him multiple times. And then they play against Timber and they don't adjust the matchup. See, what you'll see here is not only is he going to understand this idea of denying, he also doesn't hard overcommit for damage, right? A lot of people against Timber would run at Miracle, even though he's doing a good job of creep aggroing, right? You can see Miracle obviously understands the matchup too. They would run at Miracle and really put a major focus on getting off some god tier link and doing damage with it, to the point where they would actually miss this CS. Now, I can already hear some of you guys saying like, really? Is it that important? Obviously, if you only do this once per lane, it's not that important. But this concept where he saps him doesn't maximize the amount of damage he's getting, but instead puts a priority on getting that extra CS, that extra deny. Sure, if it only happens once where, he puts the priority on getting less damage, but that extra CS and extra deny, right, if it only happened once, okay, whatever, but this is something you should do 5 to 6 to 7 times in a lane, which really adds up. And obviously it only happens once here, but it's going to get him off to a very early start where he hits level 2 first and gets to his bottle even faster. 4-in-1 in a matchup like this is extremely optimal, and that's what you should be looking for. The next situation I want to talk about is how you should hit people in favorable matchups. I'll also go briefly over how you should hit people in unfavorable or even matchups. even. But let's look at this example. Okay, so as the clip starts, he hits Miracle and backs up. Pretty standard, right? But in favorable matchups, the way you actually want to hit people is you want to hit and move to the side. So what a lot of people do wrong, if you watch your average pub player, is they hit and move forward in favorable matchups. If you hit and move forward, you end up in the creep wave and you take a disgusting amount of damage, even with a 4-armor hero like Razor, right? Because especially if you're a ranged hero, which most mid laners are. And so instead, in these favorable matchups, whether or not you're playing Lina or Death Prophet against, whomever you think you're bullying, or Viper, you generally want to hit and move to the side. A lot of people will say, okay, I'll hit and then they move back, or they hit and they move forward. You want to hit and move to the side. So as we see here, okay, he gets the CS and he's already actually moving to the side. The reason why you do this is because then when you hit them, there's more time in between when the creeps start to hit you. I know it might seem small, but this is the same thing as the last clip. When you do this 6 to 10 times in a lane, it adds up to 200-300 HP, which is easily the difference between it getting a kill or dying or not. And so yeah, it's just gonna hit Miracle. And you can see, continuing to hit, move to the side, hit, move to the side. It's sort of the same thing as hit moving back, but the problem is if you hit and move back, you're just gonna be out of attack range. If you hit and move to the side, they obviously have to walk up here. You're not going to be like nearly as far away, and yeah, you're going to continue to build up those auto attacks. Another important aspect of winning the mid lane is not actually killing them or beating up the opponent directly. It was kind of funny, I was recently coaching one of my students, one of my friends, and what was funny is, he's actually very new to mid lane. He's like very, very new. In fact, he's actually like about a year into Dota, which is, as I'm sure you guys know, not a long time for Dota. It's just not. And the big thing I noticed that I see replicated from every single bracket, right, 3K, 4K, even 5K, is people don't really fully understand their matchups. In order to get good at the game, you really have to look at the enemy hero and adjust your gameplay accordingly. So for Razor, what do you typically do? What does this hero typically want to do? It typically, for the longest time, wants to max link and run the person down. And even if you only build up 30 to 40 damage, it's typically more than enough to deny the large majority of creeps and bully them out of lane, and if they come up to the lane, then you kill them. However, Timber is sort of a Razor counter. Sort of. It's definitely sort of. It's not actually a Razor. It's sort of a Razor counter because he can CS and deny and doesn't take too much damage. So what do you think TOPSON should do? This is the big question here. What should he do? What's his play? His play is to shove the wave as soon as possible. So let's see what he does. He turns on his ulti, links him. After that, Miracle's going to chain away, only gets 21 damage. He's going to proceed to bottle up in between the CS. Does it once. Honestly, I think he should have done it twice here. I think this is just a bit of an oversight. But he pushes in the wave as soon as possible. Finally gets off his second bottle charge. Shoves in the wave. Ignores the cart, right? Because killing the cart's simply a waste of time in the majority of situations. Ignores the cart. Moves onto the small camp. And eventually cleans it up with the help of his Q and his ultimate. And that's the type of play. Like just being able to say, okay, I'm against the Timber, right? A hero that's going to stall up the wave. I'm just going to shove it in, pop my ulti, even if this ulti is typically used to kill people, or I think it's typically used to kill people, which Razor ulti is kind of not. It's actually largely a farming tool. Then, yeah, you can do that, get the extra farm up, and maximize your time. And the reason why this is important is, yeah, as I was saying, people don't identify when the matchups become stale, right? My coaching student, he was against like a DK and just was punching the guy, right? Over and over, he was, hitting the DK, and it's like, just a waste of time. And, that might seem simple, but people don't realize how many times they do this, how many waves they'll just like waste a bunch of auto attacks, waste a bunch of time instead of doing what TOPSON's doing here, which is like dragging the wave, queuing the wave in the small camp at the same time, and these sort of plays. The next question I want to ask you guys is, have you ever had a game, a Dota match, where you're playing mid, you feel like you want to create space because you have a hard carry like Spectre, TB, Slark, and your team isn't willing to work with you? Or they can't. Right? Maybe it's at the point in the game where they're farming and they're not ready to help you. What should you do? That's the question. Typically, the default for people is to hit neutral camps. Now, this can be okay, depends on your hero. Maybe you're playing Viper, maybe you're playing Medusa, in which case you definitely should. But maybe you're playing Viper, right? That's a good example. Or even Razor. You could hit the neutrals. But a lot of the time, the best play to possibly make when you have two greedy side lane heroes or semi-greedy side lane heroes and you want to create space is to run at the mid laner. Or just run a side lane in general. People have this real big issue with Dota. As we look at this clip, people have this real big issue where essentially they only make a play if they think it can net in a kill. This is a horrible mentality. And this is most people's mentality. They think, I'm not going to go on this Timber ever because I can't kill him. Now you might be saying, oh, doesn't this kind of contradict what you were saying a second before, which is understanding the match but not trying to kill this guy? It does to an extent, right? Because TOPSON actually can't kill Miracle in this clip and doesn't. But you'll note the outcome of the clip is actually still somewhat positive. Now, let's take a look at the clip, okay? So he's diving Miracle, turns on his ulti. Now, what does he see? Why does he think that this is maybe an okay idea? What does he see? This is the first thing to know, because I know for a fact. I'm gonna say this, okay? You guys are gonna head into your game. You're gonna go dive mid. When 4 people aren't showing on the map, you have no vision. You're gonna feed, and you're gonna be like, you know what? It's okay, because Speed told me to. No, I did not. I did not tell you to do that. What I'm telling you to do is look at the map and say, okay, if they are not here, then make these type of plays. Force the rotations, if you can. He's having a good start. Force the rotations. That's what Razor loves doing. You're also a very fast hero. And so look, okay, what does he see? He sees Avenge, he sees the TB, he saw Mars bottom, he saw Phoenix top. He knows where everybody is. Now he ends up dying, okay, right? Maybe he goes a little bit too far. He saw the Avenge here, goes a little bit too far. However, look at the response. And if you think this doesn't happen in pubs, you're wrong. People constantly mass TP to things in pubs. I played Enchantress in pubs, and man, I could get people to chase me around the map for 3 minutes straight. You know the amount of net worth, damage that does? I'm not telling you to try to feed as the mid laner, but imagine if he made that play, the TPs were forced and he got away. Which, by the way, will happen way more than you think in pubs because people lack so much communication compared to frickin' Nigma, right? It's not even close. But 5 heroes show mid. This is obviously a freed up map for the Drow, a freed up map for the Sand King, and it's not that big of a deal. Dying in the early game, while it's not a good thing, if you get that much of tension out of it, it's generally a good play. It has to be that much, and still keep in mind the goal is not to die. People get this wrong. They're like, oh, Speed said in the video, if I force 5 heroes, it's fine. The goal is to force 3, 4, 5 heroes and stay alive, which requires good map awareness. When you learn how to master this, you'll become far more like TOPSON, because in my opinion, he's the best player in the world at doing this. The question might be, why is he the best player in the world at doing this, even though that play was not optimal? The reason is because he constantly does it. He'll dive you and dive you and dive you. He dives, dives, dives. Obviously, he doesn't do it if the matchup's just horrible or he's playing like freaking Arc Warden and the enemy mid laner's, I don't know, like Abaddon for some, I don't know, a hero with a Purge and he can't kill the guy. You know, he's not stupid, but you get the point. And last, but certainly not least, is my favorite clip of the game. Kind of works in tandem with the last clip, but you're seeing he's just farming bottom here, popped his ulti, he's chilling, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like a fight is kind of seeming like it might happen bottom. There's a Lion, a Sand King, a Phoenix. Kind of looks like a fight might happen. And he just TP's top. Why in the world would he do this? Why would he do this? If he knows 2 heroes are bottom, and TB is jungling, and Venge is dead, this Mars is alone top. He does not want to fight Timber. It's the worst possible target. He did it earlier to bait, right? As I was talking about, to force rotations. But Mars is a hero he can legitimately kick out. This is also a Mars who had a horrible start, right? This guy is 38 CS, mind control, you know? Always getting sacked. You gotta feel bad for this guy sometimes. But yeah, he just TP's top and runs at him, completely negating this guy's game. Do you know how many times I see like an Earthshaker or a Dark Willow who desperately need levels just like get free farm in a pub? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Now he doesn't end up killing the guy, but same thing. It's the same thing as before. His teammates are gonna panic. In pubs, people will literally mass TP to save someone who either can't be saved or can't even turn the fight, so they just waste their time. And he kicks this Mars out of farming range. Now, mind control being the smart player he is, doesn't panic and actually stays top. A lot of the time, pub players will just leave, right? Even if you leave, they'll just leave because they don't have the foresight to say, okay, he's probably gonna leave, right? He thinks I'm gonna leave, so he's probably gonna leave. That's not what happens. And yeah, that's gonna be all for today's video. Hope you guys learned a lot about the first 15 minutes into the game. I know a lot of these plays might seem a little bit confusing, and it's a lot to handle, and it is. That's what becoming a good Dota player is. It's about knowing the niche scenarios and the small differences you have to make per game in order to optimize your efficiency. When you get better and better at this, and you learn how to take more chances and more optimized risks, you become much more like TOPSON. Because I really mean this. He is the best player in the world at taking risks. He does it the most, and I generally believe that is why he is so freaking good at making stupid plays look incredible, or, you know, make plays that are seemingly stupid become incredible plays. But right, I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.